kept giving me more attention on set, like camera shots and stuff. And I told Alex, I was, man, I know I don't like to get my hopes up, but I hope this thing goes. We need to watch the trades and see if it gets picked up, because I feel like maybe I could come back.
Welcome to Get Scene Unscripted. I'm your host, Jesse Malinowski. We are going to dive into acting insights, meet industry pros, and master the business. Don't forget to subscribe and share. We're keeping you behind the scenes and ahead of the game. What's up, everybody? We are back. I'm your host, Jesse Malinowski, sitting alongside everyone. Are you ready for this? We're not sure if this is the actual number, but it's something around there. 72 bookings in 72 months.
Right.
Incredible actor, Judd Lormand. What's up, man?
Good to be here again.
We're still here.
That's right. Little do you know that maybe 14 seconds passed between part one and two. We haven't moved. That's all right. We're warmed up. We're ready to go.
Yeah. And so I really want to focus this episode on, and I'm sure a lot of people think about it, because, dude, you really are an inspiration, I think, for so many actors here in the Southeast, of someone from Louisiana,
right,
who's like, I'm a true local actor.
Yeah.
And some could even argue, like, not even Atlanta. You know what I mean? Atlanta being really the hub of the Southeast now. And it's like, in being able to work your way up to getting the series regular that you did on SEAL Team. And I think and that's why I want to talk about it, is that I think the hard work, the effort, the strategy that went into this entire story, I think can very easily be missed, right? So I think it's like, it's so easy to look at you and be inspired and be like, yes, like it can happen. Right. But it wasn't just like, audition, book the job. Congratulations.
Now you're a series regular. No,
right. So much more went into it. And so I'd love to hear your story on how SEAL Team happened for you. I mean, it's a long time ago now.
Yeah.
You had so many episodes. You guys had so many seasons, so successful. But can you take us back to
I'm still to this day so grateful for it. Even in the middle of all that, you know, good to just everyone who's in this, doing what we do in this crazy journey, as they say, needs to also keep that in mind. Like I said in part one, we got the coolest job ever. Someone, even auditioning, you get to pretend. But then when people start paying you to do this, that is the coolest thing ever, right? But even when you start booking, or bigger, or guest stars, or whatever, just remember how cool it is and how awesome it is. And I think you'll always be grateful. Yeah. And so I just want to, before we get into like how it happened, you just said 7 years the other day, and I was like sitting there going, yeah, like, because I'm still grateful. It's changed my life in so many ways. But how it happened was, I don't know if I ever told you this part of the story. Okay. Did I ever tell you how the flood ties into this?
I don't. Okay. Yeah, I don't. For the pilot audition?
Yeah. For my SEAL Team audition, and how the flood ties into this. So, okay. So let's back up. I'll try to make it as quick as possible, and this will also be in the book when it happens. But anyway, so I remember there was a time, and it was January of 16 through July of 16, where I didn't book. Now, we talked about 72 and Project 72 months. Well, you gotta get some doubles in the months, because all of a sudden in January, I got it was my first ever actual guest star title booking. January of 16 was Devious Maids. That's a booking brag too, right?
By the way, how many bookings did you have up until that point, that first guest star?
Well, we could look at, that was January of 16, so maybe 60, maybe.
60 credits.
Yeah, around 60, 50 something, maybe. And I go, and this is the beginning of the year, and I go work that, and now I'm on cloud nine. I've just leveled up. Guest star, here we go, right? And get home, more auditions. And the biggest problem was, it wasn't that we went slow, like we had a cold period. Like, I was still auditioning the same volume as I always did, but nothing was hitting. So February goes by, no sweat, cool. I'll book a couple in March. Got to book a couple in March, whatever. March comes by, audition, nothing. April, nothing. May, nothing. I'm freaking out. I was in such a fortunate situation early on. Yes, I was reliable and did my job and everything, but I also say it was a great time to be in the business. Opportunities were, you know what I mean? It wasn't just me, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so January, February, March, and it gets to the point where I am freaking out because I've been so fortunate to, be in the right place, right time and whatever, and be reliable and everything else. But actors should all know about the peaks and valleys, right? Well, I just so happen to have not had a real valley.
Yeah.
I mean, I got in and it just kind of happened and snowballed, and then I haven't had the downtime. And now it's hit me, and it's like, and I don't know what to do here. I'm like calling Alex, and I'm like, dude, is something wrong with my tapes? Like, is the industry passing me by? Is someone mad at me? Passing me by? Is someone mad at me? He said, no, dude, tapes are great. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, truth be told, it's like we say, you're right for some things, you're not. It was just a combination of all that.
Yeah.
It wasn't personal, whatever. So, but I'm freaking out. Finally, we get to June. I haven't booked anything. And we are now in the process of trying to clean up our house, to put it on the market in Baton Rouge, to sell the house and move to Atlanta. Because at this point, a lot of things, Louisiana's fallout where they messed up their tax thing was at the end of 15. Okay. And immediately I saw like a cliff drop off in auditions for Louisiana. I was auditioning 10-1.
Oh yeah.
10 Atlanta things before one.
Moving to Atlanta.
And I said, we're going to move. So I finally talked my wife into moving, and we're now going to sell the house and put the house in the market. And all of a sudden in August, again, I haven't booked anything and I'm freaking.
This is like 8 months?
7 or 8 months. Yeah.
Wow.
7 months. Yeah. And
I just want everyone to like take a moment and hear that though. Like you've gone
every
years,
month, yep.
Like pretty much averaging one booking a month.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden you've gone 7-8 months, nothing. And
Yeah.
like, yeah, that's definitely
it was
good.
brutal.
It happens to everybody is the
brutal.
point, right? But
And and in July, it was July that I got it, because I think it was July 16th. How I remember that, I don't know. But I did get one day on this little series in Louisiana. I was like, okay, streak's over. And then all of a sudden, in August, Baton Rouge gets this unnamed, it wasn't a hurricane, it was just an unnamed flood. And we lose everything. Like, Geico totaled our cars. So we get like, our cars are both paid for and they're awesome. My Prius has got a ton of miles on it, but they write you a check that won't even buy you one new car, right? The house was in an elevated area, no need for flood insurance.
oh my gosh.
And we've got 4 feet of water in the entire house. And it was horrific. And long story short, it was just a really horrible situation. The next few months were horrible. But bookings all of a sudden picked up, okay? That's another story for the book. But point being is I have the busiest fall I've ever had after this flood, right? And now we're in the process of figuring out what to do. Yeah, and the lawyers are like, get out of that house. Just move, walk away. Walk away from my house. But all of a sudden, business picked up. So August, I worked like 2 or 3 jobs in Atlanta. September, a couple jobs in Atlanta. So I'm back and forth while we're trying to gut the house and all that, right? And then finally, in November of 16, we get our place in Marietta. And say goodbye to that. Now, of course, there's a lot more to it, but anyway, physically, we're out of the woods, so to speak. And then I get here, and I'm thinking, this is awesome because I'm already in Louisiana booking things in Atlanta. But this should only help me, right?
Right.
I'm here now. I'm going to book all the time. All of a sudden, they go off a cliff again. So the rest of November goes by. We've moved. I don't book anything. December, don't book anything. January, don't book anything. February, I don't book anything. And I'm still auditioning. And I'll never forget this, Jesse. I walked out in my front yard, and it was in February, but it was one of those days where it looked like spring. And I was watching
fake spring in Atlanta.
Yeah. It was a fake, it was a false alarm. Yeah. And I said, I look and I see two squirrels. This is a true story. I see the two squirrels running across the yard, and I'm like, and I exhaled, and I was like, all of the year before with the no bookings and the flood, losing the house, losing both cars, I'm sitting there looking at our yard. We're in a beautiful neighborhood and everything's okay. And I'm comparing now in my head. I'm like, Judd, you went through 6-7 months last year of no bookings. And then they came back. But you went through something that's way more miserable than not booking anything. Like a life-altering disaster. And it put things in perspective. And I looked in the yard and I said, everything will be fine. And that day, I'd emailed Alex and said, hey, did we hear back on such and such? Nah, not happening. They went a different way. And I replied and I said, no problem. All good. This is going to be our best year yet. He's like, why do you say that? Because I'm 4 months of no booking now.
Yeah.
And I said, I don't know. I can just feel it. And then in March, I get the audition for SEAL Team. And I book it. I'm looking at it like I got burned out on pilots in 2012 or something. I got lucky. I booked 3 pilots in 1 year. None of them saw the light of day. Mm-hmm. So you hear all this buzz about pilot season. But I was just like, right? Like, I'm not getting my hopes up. But then I go to New Orleans and I shoot this, and I'm still not, I'm like looking at it as another good booking that I'm thankful for. But I'm not looking at it as anything going forward past this. I've been burned on that before, expecting. And I go shoot it, and I'm reading the full script. I get to the hotel, read the full script. I'm like, this is actually good. Don't get your hopes up. Then I get to set, meet the rest of the cast and the directors and stuff, and this is a really good project. This is a good project. I'm finding out who some of the producers are. I'm like, this is great, you know? But don't get excited.
Expectations are everything.
Yeah, turn it down. Then I start shooting, and I'm working for a couple weeks on it. And I start shooting, and I can see the dailies, you know, behind the monitors at Video Village. And I'm like, this looks good. This doesn't look like anything on network TV. And it's one really cool thing about SEAL Team, and I'm not just saying that because I was on the show. I'm saying, like, the visual aspect was dirty, gritty. It looked like a movie. Like, and they're showing the stuff that was shot the day before, where they turned the French Quarter into like Nigeria and blew stuff up. And I'm like, wow, this is awesome. Don't get excited. And then they loved what I did, and they kept giving me more attention on set, like camera shots and stuff. And I told Alex, I was, man, I know I don't like to get my hopes up, but I hope this thing goes. We need to watch the trades and see if it gets picked up, because I feel like maybe I could come back on this.
Because you're only booked as a co-star.
No, it's booked as a guest star.
They're booked as a guest star.
But not recurring because it's a pilot and they don't know.
Right.
So they don't have to call it a recurring. Like, but I was like, I'm basically the commander of the team. And the team are the series regulars.
Right.
Well, obviously, because they do this all the time, they could just, different actor. But they're going to need a lieutenant. They need my character's position. They need a lieutenant commander to do these missions. So maybe I could go back. So I went to ADR, and directors and producers in the head said, Judd, man, your stuff's awesome. I'm like, well, they don't normally blow smoke. That's cool. Don't get hopes up. And then finally we're watching the upfronts to the announcements for the networks, and they announced that they picked it up for a season. And it was like, and Alex and I both caught it, and we were like, we got to see where they're shooting. Where are they going to shoot? Where are they going to shoot the series? And it hit the trades one day that they were going to shoot in Los Angeles. Boom! Right? We were hoping New Orleans or Atlanta.
And that.
So we find out, and I called Alex, can you get in touch with the office or whatever? Like, see who's casting, and maybe just let them know that I can work as a local in LA. And he's like, you sure? You know, because you'd have to fly yourself and stay, you know, for the 10-day window or whatever. I was like, yeah, but dude, I'll still come out ahead because it's guest star. I mean, I'll make a little bit of money. I won't lose any. He's like, all right, I'll tell him. So he gets on the phone and he calls and he gets a hold of whoever it was and says, hey, just letting you guys know, congrats on the pickup. But just letting you know, if you guys do need Judd, you know, he can work as a local there, stays with a friend or whatever. And I think it was Risa, the casting director, that had gotten hired to do it. She goes, oh, that's great to hear. They were just talking about him upstairs. I'll let him know. Okay. And so 2 days later, they call and they book me for episode 2. I'm like, yes. Now, first ever recurring guest, right? So I packed my little carry-on bag, a couple changes of clothes. Honey, I'll be back in 10 days. High five. Have a good check from it. Recurring guest. I can put that on the resume. And I immediately edit resume. Recurring guest, right? You know how you do it. And Actors Access, log in. So I go out there and I shoot it. And we're like halfway through it. And Tony or somebody, one of the cast members was like, yeah, congrats, you're on the third one. Because they're getting the scripts in advance.
Right.
I'm not on the distribution list, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, really? And I checked with Alex. He's like, I hadn't heard anything. And later that afternoon, he texted me. He's like, you're confirmed from, dude, I remember the days. July 16th to August 16th was the first 10 days. And he said, you're booked from August 17th to the 27th. Three. So I'm going to work like it's Christmas. Like I'm a 7-year-old on Christmas morning every day. Hey, you know, good to see you. And this continues. And again, I only got my one carry-on. So I had to go buy clothes and stuff. But every single episode, and it went 22 episodes of, we never knew past one if I was going to be on or not. It was like, you didn't know how to plan your life. You didn't know, you know what I mean? But it's a good problem to have, right? And you're thankful and you're grateful. And every single day was like, this might be my last one, but I got 6. I got 9. Like, it was just unbelievable. I can't even, I was elated. Like, nothing could make my day go wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, you know, so many things happened in that first season that were like, they'll be in the book because there's so many little stories of just in the first season of being a guest star, so many things on set that I learned. And even years later, I start mentoring people and I jump in and say, oh, you know what? Maybe try this. And someone would say, well, how did you think to do that? Or what gave you that idea? And I go, I don't know. And then I realized it's because of being on one show for a long period. I never, you know, right before we turned the cameras on, we talked about you don't know what you don't know. Mm-hmm. And that was one of those things that I never realized. I've had 70-something bookings. I didn't think I knew everything, but I think I was well-versed. I can book things, right? But I didn't know what else you could learn. Like, I didn't know. And then you start learning rhythms. You start, oh, this is going to go right to a commercial. So they're going to hang on us. Cameras are going to hang here for a minute. Then it's going to go to a commercial. They're going to sell their soap. They're going to come back and go to the action. Okay, like you feel it. Then, once you get the rhythm of your show, you start to watch other shows and you pick up on common threads. Like, oh, wait a minute. This is something every show does. This rhythm, this feel, these camera shots. You know, I like to tell people I finally learned that there's 3 versions of every script, every episode we shoot, in any show. And that is the way it's written, the way it's shot, and the way it airs. Mm. Now there's, again, multiple steps along the way, you know, because they'll go through a script revision. I don't mean the words. I mean like how it's written and how a scene feels when you read it versus when you shoot it versus when it's edited. Like, and so you start to get a sense of what's going to get cut, what they're going to cover on this conversation, what they're not going to cover. Like, you can almost feel when a co-star comes in with his one line, here, sir, you need to call DOD. I go, ooh, I bet you he's not going to get a lot of coverage. Dang it. And I feel bad because back in the day when you're waiting for it to come out for your reel and they don't cover you when you're saying the line. Oh, I used to hate it. It was my,
Oh, yeah.
But I could start feeling those. Well, that helps you in your audition as well, right? So I just learned so much that first season and of course subsequent seasons as well. But that's kind of how it happened. And finally at the very end, we still don't know anything. And then Alex came out to LA and on the episode, it was either the second to last or maybe the last episode. He comes out there, visits on set, and we get the announcement. The executives come downstairs, give us the big announcement that we're getting picked up. Like, everyone's high-fiving, yeah. And there's a couple of cast members that were like, no, they're gonna, but you don't count that. You know, when they say you're gonna move up, you're gonna be on next season. Thanks, I appreciate it.
You have no
I
guarantee.
appreciate your feeling that.
Right.
But that doesn't, doesn't mean that's going to happen. And I'll never forget one of the last days of shooting. I'm on set, and I look at my phone, and there's a text. Hey, Judd, this is Sarah. Let me know when you got a minute to chat. And she said, this is Sarah Timmerman. And Sarah Timmerman is like one of our executive producers. I've met her a couple times. Hey, Sarah. But I'm first thing I'm thinking is, how did she get my number? Well, of course she can get my number.
Yeah.
She's executive producer, right? She could get my number. But I'm like, oh, Judd, okay, Judd, so we're back to action. I couldn't respond because we got to go back to work. And then about 45 minutes later, about to respond. Judd, yeah. I want to respond to her, right?
Right, of course.
It's the executive producer texting me saying we need to talk. And I'm not responding. And finally, I look over off set and she's now come downstairs and she's over there talking to someone. She's like, hey. Oh,
are you like freaking out?
Yeah, I was like, what did I do? Shit, we're on 21 of 22. I hope I didn't mess something up.
Whoever told you you're definitely coming back, you're like, you jinxed me. You jinxed me.
Damn it. Yeah. Oh, I had all kind of thoughts and I go over to talk to her and she's like, and I said, hey, Sarah. I was like, she goes, I sent you a text. I was like, I know. We've literally been shooting the scene the entire time. I meant to text you back. I just hadn't yet, but I was about to. She goes, no, there's no problem. Listen, I just want to tell you, the other thing I want to mention, because this has to do with what she said. I told Alex halfway through, about 10 episodes in. We couldn't believe it. Like, we're 10 episodes in, 12 of it. And I said, I think we don't ask for anything. Mum's the word. I said, I got this feeling maybe if I'm just a quiet little mouse and I do my job and we just keep doing this, we don't ask for anything. I think they may have me on for all of these episodes, right? Because I'm kind of sort of established. And he said, yeah, no, that's cool. We didn't ask for a raise or anything, right? And a lot of the LA side of things were, anyone I talked to in LA that was from that culture would say, you've been a guest star for 9 episodes? Dude, you need to tell them to make you a regular. Why? I'm working. Like, what if they say no? Well, tell them you'll walk. Like, whoa, no, I won't never do that. Like, yeah, they could use me as a guest star for 77 episodes and I'd be happy because I'm grateful. And so that's when I called out and said, don't ask for anything.
And that's because you were hearing other people
let's just say that there may or may not have been other people that did, maybe not them, but their agents or managers did say, hey, been guest starring for, you need to make them right. We can't, the budget, well, if you don't, I mean, he's going to go find something else. And then that character dies.
And they don't make it out of the battle.
It's SEAL team. They like to shoot people.
Someone's got to get shot.
And if they can shoot someone that's important,
even better.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I get to witness this. Or maybe I did.
So did that give you the idea to not ask for anything? Because you're like, oh, I literally just saw that guy get shot in battle and die. Like, I don't want that to happen to me. Or did you kind of have this idea the whole time? Or hey, are you a parent of a young actor? Then you're going to want to pay attention to this, because Get Scene Studios has what we call our Rising Star program. This program is incredible. It is a monthly program that puts you in front of an industry pro every single month and focuses on what a young actor needs to be focusing on, which is auditions. So every single month, we focus on either theatrical auditions or commercial auditions so they can be set up for success when they get an agent, or if they already have an agent, to really succeed at these auditions and even begin to make money at this. So we bring in different industry pros every single month and agents and casting directors, and then work on those auditions. So if this sounds like something that you would like to get your child or a friend that has a child involved in, all you need to do is email risingstar@getscenestudios.com, and we will let you try your first month for just $1 a class. That's right, only $1 a class. All you got to do is email us, and we will get you all set up and ready to go to improve those auditions, and then also get in front of those industry pros, because we are Get Seen. Thanks for watching.
I had that idea the whole time because I didn't think to call Alex about it, because that's just not something we would have done anyway. Like, but then as I see things unfold, and they really can't afford to do that right now, I don't know, something in me just said, me and Alex, I don't even remember, Justin, we might have already been talking about the next episode, and then I just said, hey, look, let's not ask for it, But I knew by that point, I'd seen enough and just kind of sensed like, dude, don't ask, like, this is a dream come true.
Right.
I'm at 9 episodes or whatever it was at that point. I mean, I'm digging myself out of a debt from the flood stuff.
Yeah.
And this is a blessing like you would not believe, right? To get 8, 9, 10 guest stars, like, oh. So I don't have anything to complain about. Everyone's so nice. It's a good show. And then it starts airing and it does well. And I'm like, pff. So even if it ends tomorrow, I'm happy. But maybe they might keep me on. So I just said, no, don't ask for anything. And he said, no, I agree. And then, so Sarah calls me over. That's where I was. Sarah says, hey, Sarah, I'm so sorry. She said, no problem. Listen, I just want to tell you that we know, I wanted you to know that we do know what you did for us. And she may have said a sentence in there, like, but she was, I guess, referring to the fact that you just did these 22 episodes. We do recognize that you never had a commitment more than an episode. We do know that your family is in Atlanta. Like, that's what she was alluding to.
Yeah.
And she said, I wanted you to know that we know and we recognize what you did. And it did for us. And it'll be our first order of business during the break to get you a contract. And I was like, and I was already like getting misty eyed when she just said, we recognize what you did.
Yeah.
Like it's hard for me even to say it without getting teary eyed, but I think I have tears in my eyes the minute she said we appreciate it. Because no one ever, you know what I mean? Like, I don't expect that from anyone. We appreciate what you did. Dude, again, it's the coolest job in the world.
Yeah,
right?
I appreciate you.
Yeah. But yeah, there were sacrifices, man. I'm missing my kids grow up. I'm FaceTiming them. My twin boys are having their first day of kindergarten while I'm in LA. And I'm telling my wife, please FaceTime me. She's like, but it's 4:00 in the morning over there when they go to school. And I'm like, FaceTime me. So I can see them walk into their first day of kindergarten, right? Like, and I'm watching, like, just bawling. So there's family sacrifices and whatever. And just for her to say that meant so much. And then she says the thing about the contract. I'm like, what? She goes, yeah, we're going to get you a contract. I was like, oh my God. And I immediately called Alex or whatever. And holy crap. But yeah, that's kind of how it all happened. And she was right. A few weeks into the hiatus, boom, the business affairs starts calling Alex and trying to work out the contract and everything. And God, I've learned so much about contracts too. Not for this episode, but yeah, it was just such a great, even though it was the beginning of a story, it was like the great ending of that first chapter.
Yeah.
Like,
so true.
It was awesome. Like, I still look back on that as like one of the coolest moments. Sarah Timmerman, I didn't even know if she knew my name, but she came down to tell me that, and it was awesome, and to tell me what they were about to do. So
incredible.
Yeah.
Dude. Well, I mean, congratulations. I mean, I've told you this before, but
Yeah.
congratulations. And I think such an incredible story. And I think, I mean, you and I are very like-minded in this, and like, say yes, be grateful. I do think there are, some other people that might argue this a little bit, right? Where it's like, no, you need to ask for more, and you deserve more, and you were putting yourself up and all this stuff. Has your POV of this changed at all on whether or not you should ask for things, or when is it appropriate, or what's your thought on this? Because I think other actors are like, I mean, I don't know. Maybe based on, you don't know what's going to happen, right? So some people might be like, well, he got lucky. That was stupid, maybe, right? Is there ever a situation where we're like, no, we need to be standing up for ourselves as artists and we deserve this? Or what do you think about all that?
Okay. The long answer is basically it depends. I mean, every situation is different.
Yeah.
And it's different for every individual. Every role and offer and cost, everything's different every time, right? There's no two scenarios that are exactly the same. And if they are, it might be for a different individual. So let me just say that first. Yeah, I've changed a little bit in the way that like you kind of know, once you know, just knowing the rules helps you, right? Like if it's a rule that, hey, I'm going to go work this guest or whatever that they're supposed to pay, then I go, well, they should be including the travel or whatever, right? Like, because they're supposed to by the rules. That kind of affects my thinking a little. But at the end, I ask myself, but are you going to say something about it? And when should you and when shouldn't you? And some people, you're right, would be like, no, stand up. At the end of the day, though, what I always go back to or fall back on is, remember, there's so many people that want, and this is just an unfortunate part about this beast, about this job. There's so many people that will do it for less, without the travel, right? Do you want to give them that opportunity to say, nope, we'll go with this guy? Which is why, Jesse, it doesn't matter what I think. And I'm glad it doesn't matter what I think, because that's why we have agents. When it comes down to it, if you've got a good agent, they're going to know when the right time to speak up or not speak up or whatever it is. And they'll get with you and confer with you on it. And I'm so thankful for that. It's kind of like I said on the previous episode about, if you don't want me to do that role, don't send it to me, right?
Yeah.
I'm glad he's there to filter that. I don't want to be the one where one voice is saying, Judd, you shouldn't do a 2-line co-star anymore. And another voice is saying, but Judd, it's work. Like, the Judd voice is like, but I don't want to be, I'm glad we have agents for that. I don't know if that answers the question about what I think, but it changes.
Yeah. Well, for, as you were talking about like the situation and all that stuff too, it's like I was thinking about your situation, right? It's like, I wonder, would you have handled it the same way if you didn't just go through all that flood nonsense, right? And you're like, I'm trying to like get myself out of this hole, right? Like if everything was great, maybe you just sold your house for a buttload of money. You're like,
I got money in the bank. Everything's fine.
Yeah. All of a sudden you go about it differently, And so I do think each situation, like you said, is different. And when you were talking about your, kind of put it in the agent's hands, I think that's a really good point, because I'll hear of stories, since I talk to so many agents, of the actor demanding, the agent to go fight for things. Yeah. So I do think that's a good thing to bring up, is like, let the agent is talking with these casting directors all the time. They kind of have probably a better feel. Right, exactly.
They have a better feel of knowing
what's possible.
First of all, when is this even right? Is this even worth speaking up over? Whereas we might have a little cloud of judgment on that. But second of all, this project, do they have the budget? Do they not have? They may already have a sense of that where we don't. And that's why I just say, like, that's their job, and they should be good at it, I guess, I can't speak for everyone, but that's part of what they do. It's not just sending your tape in. It's not just clicking submit. It's working out those things. And You know, would I have handled sealed? Like, for instance, some people in LA were saying, no, you've had this guy for 6 episodes, make him a regular, or we're going to have to find him something else. And there's a voice, there might be people watching this that have that feeling of like, dude, if they've run you for 12 of 22 guest stars, you need to speak up. But I know for a fact, had I spoken up, I'd have been sitting here today talking about those 12 episodes I did on SEAL Team.
Not the
96 or whatever, 102 or whatever it is. I know that. And so I feel like there's a time and a place. I had the gut feeling of let's not ask for anything. And I told Alex that. He agreed. Had he thought something different, he would have told me, I think actually we should ask for this and just this. Like he would have told me that.
Right.
Because he would be able to read the rooms, you know, because he's the one that's talking to him about my contract or about my deal memos back then. And so, yeah, I think it's one of the things that we need to lean on our agents for and be, you know, trust your agent enough to go, I'll do what you think, whatever you think is right.
Yeah.
And I know there's other opinions, and I just respectfully say, cool. If that works for you, cool. Like, but this is the way I feel.
Yep.
I try to be reliable, dependable, all that stuff, but also I just don't want to ruffle any feathers. No matter what that means. I don't like to rock the boat.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's smart. You know, that's smart. Just, you know, it goes into like back to episode or to part 1. If you haven't watched part 1, don't forget you gotta go back. But of the, you know, what are some of these other things that we can do that like isn't Meisner in script analysis? Is like, you know, I want to be the guy that's known as like, we just like to have him on set. He doesn't bother anyone. He doesn't ruffle any feathers. Like he just shows up, does a great job, goes home, comes back tomorrow. Like we freaking love him. Like, what does that look like? How can you accomplish that? And like, can you see the power in that? So then what do you need to do or not do to make that happen?
Well, you know, that's a tough question. Because again, if I'm speaking to someone who's auditioning and trying to get their first few bookings, the answer might be a little different. As opposed to someone who's worked 12 things in the last few years and they're trying to bump up their level. Or someone who's working guest stars in the market, whatever, and trying to bump up the rate. The answer is always it's the same, but a little different as far as the details go. But, you know, I put so much emphasis on this because, you know, when I did the workshop about the 2 takes.
Yeah.
Whether we know it or not, I mean, we all like to think of ourselves as, I'm unique to Jesse. Jesse's unique to and we are as people. But when it comes to what we're trying to fill a slot, okay? We're not that unique.
Right.
And, you know, I'm speaking from like one of the demographics that, for instance, I like to use this expression. Oh my gosh, Judd's already booked on something and he can't be here for the 2-line Caucasian cop role. What are we going to do? He said no casting director ever.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We need well, now I have a beer, but a clean-cut white guy, 40-something, to play the detective. What are we going to do? Said no casting director ever. So when you understand that, it's like we are in a pile. And everyone's in a different pile, which is why the answer would be different for everyone. But everyone's in a different pile. If you've got 2 co-stars, you're trying to get that third one, and you're this type, demographic or whatever, you're in a pile. It's so, one thing that's gone is those callbacks. It's often very daunting to like walk into a callback. You go sign in, and then you look around. And I remember when I did this in LA, it was really daunting. I read for like the young preacher or something one time in LA, and I go in and I look around, and it's like There was like 35 of me.
Yeah. Everyone somehow has the same shirt on. Like,
We all wore the plaid short sleeve. Damn it. Like, it's very like, oh man. And over here, it wasn't 35, but there'd be 9 of me. You know what I mean? And, or whatever. And so if you're 2 credits in and you're looking for the next one to kind of build that, you're in a pile of people just like you, same demo, capable of the same type of roles, great understanding of script analysis or whatever, and 2 credits in looking for that, you're in a pile. There's quite a few of you, Jesse. There's a ton of me, Judd. There's everyone, right? Same thing said. Say you got 40 co-stars. Hadn't booked that guest star yet. There's a bunch of you too. There's a pile of you. This guy's got 34. This guy's got 28. You got 40. This guy's got 46. But we're in Atlanta, so sometimes it's tougher to get the guest stars, but you're in a pile of you. I was mentoring someone a couple years ago, one of my first mentoring sessions, and in the middle of the session, someone says, I don't want to say her name, but I said, oh, cool, I just got an audition and I'll have to look at that later. And she goes, oh, what's it for? And I said, well, I pull it up and say, oh, cool, it's for MacGyver. Mark, Finn Cannon was casting. And I said, it's a federal agent, comes in, guest star, shoots in Atlanta, awesome. And she goes, you're probably going to get that. You're totally going to get that. And I was like, what do you mean? And she said, well, now this is a few years, this is like season 5 of SEAL Team or something. She's like, well, Mark, you're local to Atlanta. You got all this experience. You've played detectives and agents before, obviously. And I said, okay, let me share my screen. And I said, do you know Gary Weeks? Who? Gary Weeks. Pull his name up. Resume. Check out his resume. Got 100 credits. Whew, played a whole lot of cops and detectives. Clean-cut white guy. Knows Mark. Lives in Atlanta. Okay. Yep. How about, what if they go different ethnicity? Let's see. Dwayne Boyd. Plays a lot of detectives. Lives in Atlanta.
Knows Mark. Oh, yeah.
I could go on. And these are just the people that I know personally that I'm pulling up. Mm-hmm. I was like, I am in a pile. You're in a pile. Unless you're Tom Cruise or what, insert A-list name. And even the A-listers are in a pile. If we can't get Pitt to do it, we'll ask Clooney.
Yeah.
It's just a smaller pile. But we're in a pile. And so looking at it in today's world, you may have an answer for me here, Jesse, and I'd love to hear it. But I've asked myself, back in the day, it was a little different because the question is how can I separate myself from the pile? That's what it comes down to, right? Like, if I'm in a pile of people with X number of credits and blah, 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 how can I separate myself? And the answer is different for every level. But when I'm looking at a co-star level or a day player on a movie, I go, well, at least back in the day, this was an opportunity to get out of the pile where we could go in person and meet the director.
Right.
We had that, remember?
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm not saying that always helped you, but if you happen to strike up a conversation, it's had something in common, they liked your energy. You know what? I liked him. Maybe they liked everyone, but whatever.
Yeah.
But you at least had that, right? Now we don't get that very often.
I think there's a few answers, right?
Yeah,
it doesn't mean that it will work every single time. But these are like some ideas that we could incorporate. Okay. That I think we do in the mentorship. Some of this is like I got from you. Mm-hmm, it's like, what special skills or things could we develop, right? So it's like we might be working on some tactical firearm training today, right? Yes. That's going to serve us next year. Mm-hmm. And that's something that got you out of the pile, right? Yeah. It's an action that you took today or next week or next month that will serve you, or it's a headshot, or what I think it comes down to.
Headshot's a good one. But I look at that as we should be doing that already.
For sure. But it's like, how creative and fun can you get with it? Like, like one of my headshots, I kind of look like this like serial killer, right? I shot that headshot like 2 years ago. I just did a role where it paid off.
Yes.
Right. But so it's the action, it's the little action. So there's some of those actions there. I think another thing that you could do is utilize the actor's access, because what you talked about was striking up that conversation, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, well, how can we possibly reenact that same thing that's happening of us being in the room having that conversation? Oh, hey, Judd, good to meet you.
Yeah.
I saw that did this project. We know so and so, right?
Right.
So you could put that in the submission notes.
What if you don't get to submit? Because some agents don't send you the EcoCast. Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah,
Put in the email.
Hey,
let them know.
Yeah, exactly.
Got you.
But that involves you doing the work. Who's all the names that are associated with this project? What have they done? Oh my God, I worked as an executive producer here. That's a little extra work that goes beyond the audition. So I think you could do that. That almost brings up some of the stuff that would happen in the room, right? So we're trying to bring that up again.
Yeah.
So those are there's a bunch of different action steps I think you can take, and then I guess research, I guess, is the thing.
Research,
right?
of course. But I look at those though, and I go, I guess it's maybe it's presumptuous, but like as far as like when I was at pick any level now or whatever, I try to do all those anyway, right? Like I remember back in the day getting the headshot. Okay, do I have this one? Do I have this one? Thug. Do I have this? A cop, lawyer. Everything you just said is totally correct, and I feel like everyone should be doing that anyway.
Yes, but so few do.
We'll see. I don't know that. Yeah. But what I would say to that, though, is the only other, the flip side of that would be, okay, awesome. So now you went from a pile of 19 to 6. Because maybe there's 5 or 6 guys that are doing that. Like, I'm just giving hypothetical numbers.
Well, I mean, I would say that I think, and this might be the hard truth, but you can't, I don't think you can get singled out. I don't think you can get completely out of the pile. I think you have to be in the pile, otherwise you're not even getting the opportunity.
Well, no. I'm saying once you're there and you've sent the tapes, like you've got the audition.
Right.
Okay. My answer, and this is the only thing I've come up with, is your take 2. That's it.
Oh, you know what's so interesting about the take 2 thing? So my third, when I was like, there's 2 things, right? It's those that the third thing I was going to say was how you bring yourself to your auditions. And because I remember similarly to you bringing up, look, same kind of guy, right? With that you were talking to your mentee about. I remember I took this class in New York, Bob Krakauer, and he had everybody tape this audition. We all did it. Then we started watching them, right? At this point, he's given no notes. We've been in this class for like an hour, hour and a half. Now we're just watching them. And I'm like, this class is terrible, right?
Yeah, and I'll bet you the first 19 are all the same.
Right. Well, so we all did it. And then suddenly we watched. He's like, Judd, did you watch it? And you're like, yeah. And you're like, okay, cool. Well, let's go to the next. Jesse, let's watch yours. And I'm like, what the hell? So then at the end of it, we've watched all of them. He goes, how many of you think you like figured this audition out?
Right.
How many of you think you figured it out?
This is going.
Yeah, and so and I'm one of the ones also. I definitely crushed that thing. I mememorized the line so fast, faster than anybody.
Got it.
Right.
Nailed it.
And a bunch of people raised.
I know the tone of what they want.
Yep, exactly. And so then a couple. He's like, how many of you like didn't worry about trying to do it right? Right. They just did it. A couple of those people raised their hand, and interestingly enough, those were probably the couple auditions that maybe stood out. And he said. Exactly. He said, in all of you trying to figure it out or thinking you figured it out, you end up doing the same thing.
Yeah.
When you just do you, essentially, that's when it becomes unique. And so I think that's where like a little bit of that take 2 comes in as well. And like that is how you can stand out from the pile. Yeah. It's like, how can you truly bring yourself to it? Stop trying to figure it out.
So if I only had one shot, I would, and I knew it was like, I read the room, and it's like in a situation like that, I bet everyone's going to do the same thing. I might try to branch out a little bit, like a little different, bring some me into it, right? But the beauty of Feldstein Paris or insert cast and director's name taking 2 takes is that you literally can give them the plain Jane, this is what they want. This is the one everybody's going to do. And then on the other one, you don't have to go kind of what they want, kind of me. You could do whatever the heck you want. And I'm serious, and I stress that. And I don't do that every time. You got to pick and choose. You got to read the room, figure out. But if you've read for a cast director 5 or 6 times, okay, so they know that you can follow the rules. And this business, because of what we do, our position being always, there's going to be way more people that want the job than there are jobs, right? And because now we're doing the taping, I mean, there's times when the taping instructions are longer than my sides, right? But because of all that and the deadline and this and that, we as actors are like, okay, all right. And the first thing you learn about acting when you're a kid and you see a play is they have to learn their lines, right? So we got to learn our lines, get the lines right. We got to learn the beats and the moments and get those right, okay? Now we got to do file name underscore first name. Oh, wait, she wants last name underscore first name. Oh, no, not underscore dashes. Like, right? So you get all these rules. And the beautiful thing about this is that we've become really good at following the rules. If you're getting multiple auditions, guess what? You're probably following the rules.
Right.
And they're important, so follow them and do them, right? The bad thing about this is that it's also made us soldiers, rule followers.
Yep.
And this is, again, I just want to say, this is my opinion. Like, this may be like totally against what other people say, but this is just my way of thinking. If there was a roadmap, somebody'd write that roadmap as a book, sell it, and be whatever. This is just my opinion. I just want to say. But when you've read for them 5 or 6 times and you've nailed what they want each time, whatever, and they keep reading you, that's a good sign that you've followed the rules. They see something, they keep reading you, right? Same casting office, cool. Okay. You're still in a pile. But I say that when you can give them something completely different that makes sense, and that's the big challenge, right?
Yes.
It makes sense, but it's different. And boy, look, there's so many things that I have not booked that I'm so proud of.
Oh, yeah, man. Oh, yeah.
You want to talk about bragging? Like, I don't know about bookings because I'm proud of them all.
But I got my audition
boy, I got
brags.
some audition brags
Yeah.
that I didn't get, but I feel like a creative genius to this day.
Yes.
Right?
And you got to have those moments, everyone. Like,
Yes.
real, like, yeah, you should have your auditions. You're like, I don't know how I didn't book that. And that was so fun. And I love that.
But what
I'm
what I do know is that no one turned in that.
Yeah.
And it made sense. And it was good. And it was like different, right? And so I think, and this is just my opinion, and I've only had one casting director that I've talked to who's actually validated this, okay? But I said it for years before the validation because I just knew. But I have this feeling that after a while, maybe not the first, second, third time you turn in something very interesting for your take 2, but after a while, I think that you get stored in someone's brain as, yeah, he's a rule follower. Yeah, he can follow the rules. He can do everything we need. But this guy's also an artist. And there's a big difference. Especially at the co-star level, right? I mean, look, it's not about you. Fast and flat. Get in there and get out. Hit your mark, say the words, and don't do anything. Got it. I can do that. Here's something with just a slight little difference that I don't think anyone else is going to do.
So what's your, because I've been thinking about this for a while, right? Is that second take or even just one audition, like how can you be bold, right?
Yeah.
And I've been thinking about that for like a really long time. And I think I came up with a little bit of a technique, and I want to know what your technique is. So my technique, it sounds so lame. I keep saying I'm going to give it a different title, but I don't think I'm going to. It's called the noun technique.
Okay. Oh, it's very, okay. Go ahead.
So you take a person, place, or thing in your, so like, let's just take a fake audition right now, right? And part 1, you'll learn that he was a manager at Hooters, everyone. So if we take, right, we both have manager, right? Role of manager.
Okay.
And we're firing someone, right?
Letting him go, yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, well, I never played a manager, but like where and this is where the noun technique comes in, right? Person, place, or thing, right? Either I think of a manager, a person that I know, right? Or a place where maybe I worked as a manager, right? And I take that. For you, your noun method technique is going to bring you to somewhere completely different, right?
Yeah,
and as a quick example, right? I'm like, the closest thing to a manager I did was like, I worked as this like used car sales aftermarket thing, and I wore suits. So I'm like, okay, as a manager, I'm going to wear a suit. If I think about you and you're like, well, I actually was a manager and I worked at Hooters, you're going to wear a polo, right? So just quickly, off.
All of a sudden, we've got a different
completely
connotation or a different idea of the thing.
Exactly.
Yep,
yeah.
I love it.
And so, and I feel like, because it's just like you need an easy, tangible. I'm always trying to find a way to, how can we make this easy? You know, and so like, what's an easy
shortcut or a method or yes. And I've come up with some of those.
Yeah.
But I always say this: no method, I don't believe, is 100% the thing to do every time.
Yeah. It's different. Well, it's using a different tool.
Dude, okay, give me an example. I have different rules, but like, so if I get a guest star read and it's 4 scenes that I got to do, and it's got an arc to it and it shows different sides of this character. Like, here's a good one. Formula, I've had a few of these where it's like, you're the bad guy of the week.
Right. First
scene is you as the at the dinner party. You just made this massive donation. You're a philanthropist. Everyone loves you in town. Second one is the you behind the scenes talking to your guys that you work with, and it shows what you really do, right? You know, get the shipment in, and then we go. And then the third one is a similar deal, and then the fourth one is the we got you. Drop it. We know it was you. So, damn it! If it weren't for those kids, right?
Right.
Okay. This is a very common thing for like network stuff. I'll look at that and I'll say, okay, I'm going to give one take of this because the running time on this is going to be 8.5 minutes.
Yeah.
And because artistically speaking, I've got so many things I can show in these different scenes. Now, I might, and so if I said guest stars, I only do one take, that's not true. Because on another guest star, you might only get 2 scenes and you read the description, you see how this works. Like, okay, I know what you want. Got it. Southern, ex-military, blah, blah, blah. He's doing that. Okay, cool. But then I look at it and go, it would be interesting too if he was this. Okay, so I'm going to do 2 takes because it's 2 short scenes. So there's 2 different rules there for a guest star audition. But as far as the process goes, I say, you read those sides, you watch all the homework stuff, right? You say, look up who's playing the characters in there. You know, some people forget that. Like, it's a new show, but there's a lot of information online about it, and you're talking to someone named Floyd. Look up who plays Floyd. Know who you're looking at. Is it Jason Bateman or some other guy, right?
Yeah. Our other mentor, Charles Green, talks about doing this.
Yeah. So that's one thing I learned a long time ago. Who am I looking at? So I'll do all that homework, figure out what they want. If there's other episodes of the show available, maybe not if it's the first season, but go watch the show, get the tone, right? And then give them the best what they want version you can. With a couple wrinkles I'll throw in, a couple things for me, right? And then my second take, not always, but many times, I'm going to literally throw out the description. Or let's take an example. Let me give you the best example. This was back when my process changed, okay, around 2015. I've been booking up to that point, but I seriously saw a difference and an uptick in the quality of stuff that I was getting after I started doing this. And my old way of doing it would be like, okay, audition comes in. You have 4 lines, says, arrogant Southern cop that pulls Janelle over. Boom. Okay. Got it. Now, what I used to do prior to this, it was I'd go lay down the perfect Southern, what I think, my perfect Southern, you know how fast you're going? License and registration. All right, bam. And then, my take 2, you ready for this? I'm going to take one of those adjectives, not Southern because it takes place in Georgia, so I'm going to leave that alone. Arrogant. I'm going to turn it up. I'm going to turn the arrogance up. And I'm going to be arrogant to the point that you despise this guy. Maybe it's coming from a place of hate, right? Boom, lay it down. Now, is this wrong to do? No, I was booking. But then I realized, now same audition today, I get it. And I go, okay, I know what you want. Southern arrogant cop. Boom, I'm going to give you Judd doing a Southern arrogant cop. You know how fast you were going? Huh? And then for the second take, well, it's not a comedy. Okay, but what if, well, actually, I heard it's a quirky comedy, maybe. What if he's like Enos on Dukes of Hazzard? He's the cop that never should have been a cop. He's a pushover, naive. He's gullible to a flaw, nice to a flaw. Still Southern, but just everything about him is just a little more careful. The only reason he's a cop is because his dad was a cop, his brother was a cop, and I mean both his uncles were cops, so he's a cop. But he shouldn't be one. And I'm going to create a completely different character and give you that. That's kind of my process now. But again, not for everything. I just did something for Law and Order, an audition about a month ago. And I changed it very little. I played within the rules, like what they gave me, but adjusted to the degree of something. I went back to the old way. Why? Because that's more of a formula show. Mm-hmm. It depends on the project. It depends, how far differently I'll go. But I look at everything like a new thing. Like, okay, it's for Tara and Chase. Hopefully Tara and Chase watches. It's for Tara and Chase. Okay. That alone tells me if I need to take the gloves off and do something wildly different, I can, because they know me well enough to know that here's Judd's take one. Yeah, Judd, that was a swing and a miss right there. But you sent us, like, they're not going to like think, what is Judd smoking? What is he on? Never read him again. I don't think that's going to happen, right? Because they know at least that I'm capable of giving them what they want. And I did so with my take one. But it's a new casting office out of LA. Never read for him before. Same role, same sides. Am I going to be that free to break the rules or whatever on my second take? No. I'm going to keep it within bounds. So that's my point. It's the process itself. It's hard to nail it down to a shortcut because what works for this doesn't work for this. What works for this casting office may get you not seen at this casting office.
Right.
It's such a subjective freaking game we're in.
And so it's like you want, because all of this is like even strategy, right? For Chase and Tara, I might swing a little bit bigger for this brand new casting director, and it's interesting. So it's like depending on the actor too, right? If you're just now reading for Chase and Tara, maybe you're not swinging big like Judd would be swinging, right?
Right.
And so it really is strategy, and I think. But I bring that up because I want everyone to be thinking about that and realizing that it can and should be strategic.
Yeah.
I think sometimes just like, I don't know, I'm just auditioning, and just going up against, throwing it against the wall. Hopefully one of these days I get it. And it's not that.
Yeah.
And like, how can you turn it in your favor?
Yeah. And here's just a little quick thing about process, but like kind of, here's two examples, two methods, right? Take their description they gave you. The first thing I do is answer why. So, disgruntled Delta employee. Why is he or she disgruntled? And that just helps me fill in the disgruntled feeling, right? A little miser, whatever you want to call it. It's like, just why? I've been there for 13 years, never got a raise. I know they're not going to fire me because no one's going to take this damn position. Like, it's that kind of job, right? So I'm disgruntled. Okay. And then I do the why, and that's my take one because the sides and everything points that direction. It's pretty clear. Co-star, bam, do it. I go to my take two, and there's two trains of thought. Let's say I want to go drastically different, right? I'm familiar with the casting. I just want to do something different for me. Take two's for me. They're not disgruntled. They're overly happy. Hey, how can I help you? Like, over the top, well, not that big, but you know what I mean? Like, just a completely different character. Okay, so I look at it and I go, let's flip it and try that. But let's say I don't want to go that different, like with the Law and Order thing or a new casting office. Then I look at the adjectives they gave me and I try to splinter one of them. And what I mean by that, that's my word. Like, you come up with your little words for your stuff. I try to splinter it. So I get one the other day, and it's like, good dad, but he's what did it say? Arrogant, successful, confident attorney at a big shot law firm. Okay. I look at that and I go, confident. That can be splintered. because there's confident to the point of almost arrogance where we're like, big shot. They said big shot lawyer, firm, confident. So maybe he's a little too confident. Maybe he's not likable because he's so confident. But then there's also the confident guy that we want to be, who's inspirational because he's comfortable in his own skin. He believes in what he does, and he exudes confidence. And we like that guy.
Yeah.
So that's a splinter. And I always say this to people. I'm like, if you splinter it, if you're careful and you really think about this, when you splinter it, you actually can't be wrong.
Right.
Because they're both still the confident attorney at the thing.
But also still so different.
Exactly.
Because, I mean, and that's the key, like you had brought up, is having them be very different. However, it still needs to make sense.
Yes, it has to make sense.
Running hundreds and hundreds of workshops
Yes.
at this point is like someone's like, I'm going to swing big and do another take. And you're like, but that didn't make any sense.
Makes
what
no
you
sense.
just did.
And I use this example just to say what you're saying. I say, if you get an audition for Walking Dead, and you figure out what they want, okay, yeah, and you do it. Take two. Could you be wildly different if you pretended that this was a sitcom? Yeah. But it's stupid and it's not going to make any sense and you're not going to score any points. Don't do that.
Right.
Don't pretend that, I'm going to do it like it's a Will Ferrell movie. No, that's not going to serve you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when you say like, well, what's the process? Well, depends on the role, depends on the project, depends on the casting, depends on how you see it. And that's the beautiful thing is like, you can literally send that confident attorney to 20 actors and you might get 10 doing the positive confident and 10 doing the negative. Who knows? Because we all have a different idea of what certain things are. Mm-hmm. But I just say, work hard on that second take. Think about all the angles and come up with your own recipe. But don't deny trying to come up with one. Like I say, look, if you figure out they want blue, it's okay sometimes to turn in a blue and a light blue.
Definitely.
That's what I do sometimes.
Yes.
But when you can, at least be looking. Could I do a red here? Would it make sense?
I love that you bring up the colors, and Jason Lockhart from AMT talks about this in workshops, where it's just like, I think that could, again, looking for easy ways to help with the audition, right? So it's like, if you do your audition and you're like, okay, now like, you have to give it a color. And you're like, I don't know, I guess it's like yellow.
It's a yellow.
Like, right? So great. Now, if there was gray in there, what does that look like?
Yeah.
And, it's just like, and that can mean whatever it means to you. But,
Yep.
I think that's like an easy exercise. It's an easy kind of formula of like, all right, now I'm going to do it gray. Don't know what that's going to do. I don't even know what that means, but it should elicit something different to happen, which is what we want.
Yep. It's simple. Let's say you get a audition. You're playing someone's playing it's the ex-wife of so-and-so. Okay. And she has one scene and she comes in, talks to the husband about the ex-husband on the phone about picking up the kids at this time of day or whatever. Okay. Maybe we all get a different idea, but maybe they give you an adjective in there. She's the on time, punctual, like something like that, right? Very professional, by the book ex-wife who's talking to Frank about picking up the kids. Do your take the way you want to do it, right? Like whatever you surmise they want, do it. But then what about, you can splinter the ex-wife. How long ago did you get divorced? Boom. If it was 2 months ago, the conversation sounds different than if it was 7 years ago.
Mm-hmm. 100%.
That's an easy splinter right there. Bam.
Yeah, I love the splinter. I think that's
that's my thing.
That's
like,
cool. I love that.
Like sometimes I say I'm going to flip it. I'm just going to flip it. They gave me all this, but not doing that. I'm going to do something completely different. And that's not every time. Again, I don't do that every time. But then most of the time I look at it and go, yeah, I think I'm going to splinter it. See how far it goes. If they say the Delta agent who helps Detective Williams find the gate he's looking for. I use this example a lot. That's what I call a summary of the sides.
Oh yeah, that's always the breakdown, like,
right?
That's just what's happening. Yeah.
And I used to dread that. Like not dread it, but it'd be like kind of my pet peeve. Like, oh, fuck, you're not telling me anything, okay? And you read it and you're just like, sure enough, it's like, how can I help you? Yeah. And he shows his badge. I need to find the gate for so-and-so. What city? San Francisco. Okay. Do you know what time? 2:00. Gate 32C. There's your scene. Bam. And the way I just did it would probably be very similar to the way I would do the take one. But you can look at that and you can go, what if they, now change it. What if they added the Delta agent who reluctantly helps Detective Williams find the gate he's looking for? Well, I can actually splinter that. One could be reluctant because it's 4:59. My relief should be here any second. Again, I've had this job for 13 years. Can I help you? What city? Right? I don't want to help this guy. Or maybe, my take two now, maybe, again, I'm going to splinter the reluctant, right? Maybe last week they held an all-employees meeting with Delta, and they said, be on the lookout for terrorism. We are high alert. Code 5, code red, whatever it is. DEFCON 5, code red. And one of the things a guy came in from Homeland and he PowerPointed us up, things to look out for. And one of them was plainclothes people pretending to be law enforcement. And this guy flashed his badge fast. Is he a terrorist? Should I help him? What city?
One thing I quickly want to say about that, though, is that so if that's the work that you do, right, which is great, which I think is fine, is like I think sometimes the actors, they're like, I want the audience, I want the casting director. Yes.
Yeah. Don't do that.
No, you can't do that.
Don't do that.
Right?
No, you're right.
You have to know and trust that like what you're doing is just going to look interesting and be different.
Correct. And my point is I splintered reluctant by saying I'm going to make the why they're reluctant different. Again, you're not going to show that, right? And the cool thing about it is when you stress the why, this is what happens most of the time, if it's done subtly and correctly. The person watching can't specifically figure out the why. Like they don't watch it and go, oh, I bet they had a terrorism meeting last week.
Right, yeah. They're just like, oh, he's more suspicious or
there was like a little something when they saw the badge, like that's it. That's what you want.
But even more than that, which I think is so great, and within your auditions, you really want to strive for this. Is like you want to give the audience the chance to figure it out.
Because they make them wonder. Better. Make them wonder. Why is right? Like what was that about?
Yeah.
What was that about?
Yep.
So you're to your point, and I should have said that at the beginning. Yeah, you're not going to like go, "Ooh, I'm suspicious," and you're not doing that.
Yeah.
But it's a way of like another splinter method. You can take an adjective and splinter it different ways. Why is he reluctant? Just the why. Just by doing the step 1 and 2, identify the adjective, identify and figure out why. Because I like to do that because it helps me. You know, if it's an angry person, the angry guy, why am I angry?
Yeah.
Did the anger happen in the scene or am I just always angry? And if I am, why am I always angry? Maybe my life at home sucks. So I bring it to work with me, whatever. But if you're doing the why, don't forget that you can take the why, change the why, and that could be your take 2.
Mm-hmm.
Simple, and keep it subtle. And hopefully they're going to get, well, that was, okay, there was something different there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
It's such a freaking fun thing, and it's subjective. And sometimes you don't know if you're hitting the target, but I just love the thrill of like attempting to.
Yeah.
Attempting to hit the target or miss the target perfectly.
Yeah, I love that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
Not too much, not too little, just like, that sweet spot.
Oh, yeah, so good.
I love it,
dude. Judd, I mean, we can continue.
We can go 6 parts.
We're gonna try. We're gonna bring Judd back, and we're somehow gonna have our days completely available.
Yeah.
And we're just gonna see how long of an episode we can do. But this has to bring us to our spotlight sign off here, which is 5 questions to end strong.
Oh gosh.
All right. So question number 1, and you talked about gratitude and how important it is. So question 1 is, what's something you're super grateful for today?
I'm grateful for every opportunity I've gotten, every job I've gotten, and everyone that goes involved with that. From casting to I'm just grateful for the infrastructure that Atlanta's built and that I can live here. That's a really good one. LA's too busy and big, and I'm too country for that. So I'm grateful that this market, Louisiana, the Southeast, has grown. I've seen it since 2006. And in almost 20 years, and it's grown so much, and I'm so proud of it.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm grateful for, is not just me, but everyone down here that's made this market what it is. And I mean that 100% wholeheartedly.
Dude, that one's good and so true. Is there a movie, television show, or book that changed the trajectory of your life?
Ooh. I mean, there's auditions for a trajectory of my life.
Yeah.
Man, I don't know, dude. That's the hardest question I've ever gotten.
It could be, I mean, you know, if I think about your story a little bit, I'm like, it could be maybe like one, I mean, obviously SEAL Team, but that's the easy answer, right? But like,
I'll tell you one. I know. I just thought of one.
All right, great.
Pursuit of Happiness. You ever see that?
Yeah.
Will Smith?
Mm-hmm. Really good.
Just the story.
Yeah.
So good, right? But I think just everyone needs to be reminded, like, that's a life changer for me. Like, that's a trajectory changer, because it's like, it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter where you come from. Doesn't matter what people say. Like, DDP, the wrestler, I did his podcast, and his final question was, what would you, tell yourself? Could you go, if you could go back in time, would you? And I say, look, the two things I live by, I would go back to my 18-year-old self and tell him this, is, work hard and be kind. Be kind to people and work hard. Doesn't matter if you're washing dishes or auditioning, just work hard, right? So Pursuit of Happiness is, to me, is like, it's a true story, and it's proof of like just what hard work can do. And I mean, like, you don't necessarily have to go offshore, but you might have to change some things about yourself. You might have to spend some extra time doing this or that to achieve this or that. But man, if you work hard, I don't think there's anything that can stop you from anything. Like, nothing can stop you. So that one, Pursuit of Happiness. Long answer, sorry.
No, it's good. It's good. What is something in your daily routine that you really cherish?
Yoga.
Yeah?
Yeah. Almost daily. Not every day, but, I do like 3 days a week of light weights, but I try to do 4 to 5 days of yoga. And man, I love it. Love it. It is in the daily routine every single day. That and playing with my dog, about the only two things that I consistently, because like even your kids, you're like, well, some days was rough. Like, I can't say it's a daily thing that I love, but yeah, my dog and yoga, man.
The dogs, I'm taking more time to spend with the dogs.
Oh, bro.
Even if it's just, a couple extra minutes just sitting on the ground.
It's the best love ever.
Yeah, it is.
They don't care how much money you make.
No.
You gained weight, you lost. They don't care about any of that.
They're just happy to see it.
They just love you. They're like, hey, you're back.
Yes.
Well, you don't get that anywhere else.
Yeah.
Spend time with your dog, man. Like, show them love while you can.
We're gonna let the dogs in the studio.
Right? Oh, yeah. What did I do when I came in here?
I know.
Jesse's like, hey, and I'm like, hold on.
Yeah. He's like,
dogs, come on, guys, bring it in. Sorry, Jesse. Dogs first.
What's something that you're currently trying to improve in your life right now?
Man, dieting. Yeah, like when you're busy, it's hard to. I'm so much better when I was working in LA at my diet than I am here, because you're kids and busy and whatever. Diet, I would say, is one. I'm trying to write some stuff right now. I'm working on the storybook, but then also trying to develop a series, and I'm bad about blocking off time to do it. And so that's something I'm trying to improve every freaking day. Judd, give it an hour. Judd, go give it half an hour. So time management, diet, that's about it.
All right.
And auditions, we're always trying to get better. I'm always trying to figure out fun, different, better ways to look at things.
It's great.
Yeah.
All right, last question.
Okay.
This is a 2-part podcast here, right? So based on part 1 and part 2, we went over a lot of stuff. It might be something we already covered, or maybe it's something completely different. Is if you wanted the listeners to like 100% get something, what do you want it to be?
There's nothing you can't do. I've seen lots of people. I haven't seen many people that drop out of this because they didn't have what it takes. Where I think they just dropped out too soon, like so many people, because it's a marathon, man. I know people say that, but it's a marathon. Work hard. Just work hard. Work hard like it is a sprint. But it's not a sprint. It's a marathon. And come up with things so that you can chill in your sprint. Like, if we run as fast as we can't do it forever. We can't do that for 15 years straight. You'll crash. You'll have a heart attack or whatever. So come up with things to come down and come back up. But every time you get into the sprint, like it is a sprint.
Yeah.
But know in your head that it's a marathon. No, I could tell you so many things, Jesse. I mean, you asked for one, but I'm like, recognize successes that aren't just booking. The first time you get a read for Tara and Chase, high five yourself. A headshot or your relationship with your agent worked. Something worked. You got selected. Click, boom, you got selected. High five yourself. Guess what? The second time you get one for them, really high five yourself because you didn't shit the bed, excuse my language. You didn't crap the bed in the first one enough to where they're not going to read you again because 3 weeks later they read you again. That is a success. And there's a whole lot of people that aren't getting that first one, that aren't getting that second one. So, yeah, recognize the successes. It's not just booking because it's a marathon, and work like it's a sprint. That's what I would say. You do all that, then everything's going to fall into place. And be kind to people, for God's sakes.
I love it. Yeah, I haven't. I mean, I think everyone has heard the, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon, but I've never heard the work like it's a sprint.
Work like it's a sprint, but know it's a marathon.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And so knowing it's a marathon, that means I'm going to sprint. And then when I get a break, I'm going to go hiking. I'm going to go do some yoga. I'm going to freaking spend time with my dog or my kids or whatever. I'm going to put some stuff aside. Yeah, this weekend I don't have any auditions. I've been sprinting my ass off for 3 weeks. This is for me. I'm going to do, what's that other thing I love?
Yes.
Because there's other things we love. Go do it. Whether it's a person, place, or thing, just go do that. And then you'll be charged up to sprint again. And just keep doing that.
Yes. Yes. Judd,
that's all I got.
Thank you so much, man.
For real, I got more, but
I know you do. Like I said, we'll bring you back hopefully in less time than a year. And we'll see how many of these episodes we can bang out. But thank you so much, man. I just want you to know I'm so grateful to have you on the team. You're just incredible. You bring so much value and help so many of our actors. So thank you for that, man.
I appreciate it. And I appreciate everything you guys do, man. It's awesome. Get Scene's like really changed. Doing the mentorship. Yeah. Oh man, it's I always loved it. The second I started doing it, I told you I love this. Love this.
My favorite thing that you ever said is he was like, every time I do a session, I wish I had an audition.
Right then.
I'm so amped.
I'm so amped.
Yeah.
But truly, no, it's changed. It's during the down times. Like it's given me something that I can sprint on. And with this business, but it's indirect and it's like learning for it. Like hopefully someone learned something, but it confirms things, reminders. Oh, Judd, you've been a soldier lately. Don't forget you're an artist, Yeah. Like it's just done so much for me. And so, no, I appreciate it. I always tell people about Get Scene, I say, I came up when there was no Get Scene or anything like it.
Yeah.
The resources that it provides is freaking unbelievable. Unbelievable. It really is. LA's had stuff like, workshops and whatever, but to have something that I feel like it's truly invested in the actors in this market doing what they're supposed to, and doing this job. Like,
Yeah.
you guys have short-term, long-term, like it's just amazing. Like, the access to CDs, the access to other actors. Like, I wish it would have been around when I was coming up, because we didn't know what we were doing. It was wild, wild west trying to figure crap out, you know?
Yep.
And it's no wonder they were like, we thought we were good actors, and like, they'd be like this, you know, they had low expectations when the productions would come here, but we did buckle down and earned it, and it slowly got better. But Get Seen is, in my opinion, is something that like helps catapult the whole market.
Thank you,
And
man.
I'm serious. And the perception of it, because for so long we didn't have something like this.
Well, I think, I mean, you know, and that's why we're both invested in it so much. I mean, and you were, and you know, history lesson, Judd was the first mentor that ever came on. And I remember, you know, and I'd bring Judd in for like a Q&A. It was the best thing ever. He came in, I'm like, all right, Judd, thanks so much, you know, and then like an hour later,
I'm still in the Zoom.
He's still there. I'm like, what is he doing? And he's like, I want to keep
I wanted
learning.
I wanted to hear what everyone was saying.
And so that was my first indicator. I'm like, I bet Judd would want to do this. But I mean, I was like really like nervous and scared to like ask you, you know, because I was like, you know, if he says yes, like this really could like turn into something so big where we are able to help actors in such a better way than, you know, what we're talking about. Is like, there's nothing like this. And, you know, when I got out of conservatory, I had no idea how to like actually make this work for myself. So, you know, we're on the same mission, and it's awesome, man.
I've you know, right before we started rolling, another thing that came up, you brought up a name of somebody who I've mentored before, and I was like, oh, you know, and I said, you know what's awesome? But this is what I mean. There's people that I've mentored that started out, they didn't have an agent, they get an agent. Then they got a booking. Like, awesome. That's great. But then there's, again, so many different milestones for success.
Yep.
There's other people who, in 6 months, their confidence goes through the roof. And that is the best part to see.
Dude, 100%.
Like, that is like, it makes me cry. Like,
yes.
I know, because
that's life-changing right there.
It's life. It applies to everything, you know, not just this business. But in this business, that's what it takes. Like, you have to like believe in yourself, and you've got to be confident in what you're doing. I mean, obviously know when you make a mistake and recognize it and learn from it. But when I see someone's confidence go from maybe here, it wasn't bad, but it was here, to like here, they're confident in the way they talk to their agent. They're confident in the new manager they got. They're confident in the way they read sides. And they're looking at tapes going, yeah, I'm cool with that one. Like, I turned it in, no regrets. That's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
And
man.
so just being part of that is like, dude, it makes me go, what have you done, Judd? What do you do? Well, you need to do something. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's so awesome. So I was just returning the compliment. The stuff that you guys have built with Get Seen and everything is so incredible. It really is. And I don't say that to you just because of this. You can ask anyone I've mentored or like just other people in the business. I brag about it. I really do. I say it's incredible. So,
well, you're awesome, man. Yeah. And well, we're both better off with each other in our lives, man.
That's right.
That's right. So thank you, dude, so much. Incredible conversation. Everyone, please comment, leave a review. Let us know what you thought of this episode, what you got from it. If you haven't subscribed already, this is your sign. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss another episode. Judd Lormand, thank you so much, man.
Bro.
You're incredible.
It's awesome. What time is it? How long did we go?
We have gone almost 3 hours.
I knew it.